So imagine this, you arrive in Germany full of dreams and excitement, only to realize you have nowhere to sleep. Your savings are running low, landlords aren't responding, and suddenly you are facing homelessness. Sounds extreme, right? But this is the reality for many international students in Germany. So today, we are diving deep into the 5 big reasons why so many international students end up homeless in Germany, and more importantly, how you can avoid it. Point number 1 is extreme housing shortage. Now, Germany is facing one of the worst housing shortage in decades. Especially in cities like Munich, Berlin, Frankfurt, all those big cities. And the reason is because thousands of students, they apply to the same apartment. And of course, landlords, they are extremely picky. And I don't blame them. Think about it. As a landlord, maybe you got a loan from the bank and you have to pay interest every month. So you're also relying on the rent you collect from the apartment to pay back the bank and the loan, and also to keep some money for yourself. So of course they are also trying to rent out the room to the best candidate as possible. An international student too, you want an apartment as quickly as possible. So you can see there's a conflict of interest there already. Now you see the problem. I told you guys in the last video, when I moved to Germany, I stayed in a single room with 2 different guys from India. And we made it work. Of course, like I said, it wasn't the best condition. But we had a roof over our head. I stayed there for almost, close to about 4 or 5 months before I eventually got a student apartment. One of our roommates then, he said one of his friends could not find an apartment. The person slept at the train station for about 2 days before someone else came to help him. But that tells you how crazy it is in Germany. So my honest advice for you would be, apply immediately for a student apartment. Maybe 6 to 12 months before you even step your foot into Germany. Make sure you start applying. Of course, it's going to be a long list, but at least you're already there. The earlier you're on the list, the better for you. Another option would be for you to look for shared apartments. Those ones are actually very, very easy to find. I told you I stayed in a room with 2 different people. So look for shared apartments. Don't really care about the condition immediately. Over time, once you settle in, you will be able to find another apartment, a better one for yourself. But initially, just find a place to stay. It's very, very important. Now, point number 2 is scam and fake landlords. Now, scammers, they already know that international students are desperate for apartments. They are aware of the shortage of apartments in Germany, and they take full advantage of this. Someone close to me said she paid 1,500 euros as deposit. Immediately she sent the money to this guy, she didn't hear from him again. The person just disappeared. So there are so many of them out there. There are so many of them on different websites. So one thing I will tell you is, trust your guts, because they will dangle some apartment in front of you that looks too good to be true. You will see the apartment really nice, well furnished for a ridiculous amount. And most times when you see something that is too good to be true, 9 times out of 10 is always too good to be true. So trust your gut. If your gut feeling is telling you, there's something shady about this, don't even think twice. Don't doubt it. Just trust your gut. Secondly, don't send money to anyone without seeing the apartment yourself. Without seeing the apartment in person. Don't even dare. Don't even try it. And another option for you is, make sure that you apply for apartment on reliable websites like WG Gesucht, for example. They are very reliable, verified landlords on that website. Or, you can also apply to the Student in Weg, that's the student apartment, or university portals. So those are reliable platforms where you can apply for an apartment. And of course, like I said, don't pay anybody until you are sure, until you see it for yourself. Most times they will never ask you to pay because they know that you're not in the country yet. But anyone that's asking you to pay deposit before you get here, run far away, run as far as possible. Point number 3 is strict rental requirement. Now, even when you eventually find a legit apartment, getting approved for that apartment is a completely different hurdle that you have to cross, because landlords will require some documents. For example, they will require you a Schufa. Like I said in the last video, Schufa is your credit history. It's going to show how good or how bad you are with bills. Secondly, they will ask for your bank statement, or maybe pay slip, for example. Some would even go as far as asking for your job contract, or they will ask for a co-guarantor, someone that will guarantee you that whenever you default, that person is going to be the one liable. I mean, good luck finding that though. But I mean, and I don't blame landlords. I understand, like I said in the beginning, they also have to protect their interest. So as much as sometimes I try not to be so hard on them, because as a business person, you need to understand that they are also protecting their interest. And what's the point of giving a house to someone that will not pay? So I mean, let's try to be fair and also argue in a very rational way. And this is the problem, because most international students, we don't even have shufa. You don't have any history. So, and if you don't have any of those documents, the landlord will not give you the apartment. They will not, unfortunately. Most times they are not very flexible. If you don't have the requirement, each document ticked off the list, you will not get the apartment. Because like I said, there are so many people that are also waiting for that particular apartment. So many. So I mean, if you don't have the document that they require, they'll just move to the next person. And you can't blame them. And because so many international students most times don't have the required documents, it becomes a hurdle, it becomes a problem. So to avoid this kind of headache, your best option is to apply to student apartment. Like I said, student invec is your best option. They don't really require a lot of documents. Most times, your remain certificate and your valid residence permit is enough. Point number 4 is the rising cost of living. Studying in Germany used to be relatively cheap until the war in Ukraine happened and everything just went crazy from there. Inflation just went to another level. Rent went up. I mean, for the past 5 years, in Munich especially, rent has increased by 20%. That tells you everything you need to know. And with fewer job opportunities for international students and the hike in price, it has now become incredibly difficult for students to be able to match up with the current standard of living in Germany. So if you find yourself in this situation, you can apply for the BAföG scholarship. I mean, it's not really easy to get. I mean, especially if you're a foreigner, but I mean, you can try your luck. I know some people that got it, so you can also get it. Another option, which is going to be the best option, is live in a smaller city. Leave all the Berlins and the Munichs alone. Live in small cities. It's really cheap to live there. You can work in the big cities, of course, but you can also live in the small cities. That's what most people do. They work in the big cities because it's easier to get jobs there, but they live in smaller cities. So that way, your rent will be lesser, and at least you can have enough savings for yourself. So that would be my honest advice. Point number 5 is visa and legal issues. Now, there are so many international students that have visa problems, especially those that live in the big cities. And if you don't have the required residence permit, nobody will give you an apartment. Nobody will rent an apartment to you. And this might not be your fault. It could be because you couldn't get an appointment at the Ausländer Bureau there on time. I mean, I know so many people that are in this category. And of course, you cannot fault the landlord too. Like, if you don't have the documents, well, sorry, we cannot give you the apartment. So if you find yourself in this situation, my best advice for you is try as much as possible to apply on time. Don't wait until when your visa is close to expiration before you start applying for an appointment, so that you don't get kicked out of your apartment. Or if eventually you get an apartment, that will not be a reason why the landlord will say no to you. And while all these are valid concerns, I have to say Germany is an amazing place for people to come and study. But it is highly imperative that international students understand that homeless situation in Germany is a real problem. But with the right steps and with the right information, you can easily avoid this. And if you want to know other struggles that international students face in Germany, click on this video right here. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.